Good East positioning this, everybody. The name is Blue Fang, and welcome to my ranking of the live-action Batman movies. As I have said during my Let's Play of Batman Arkham Asylum, which will be getting new parts relatively soon, I have made it no stranger that I am a big Batman fan, and I have been watching the live-action Batman movies. And by that, I have 9 up on the list. We have, by order of release date, the Batman movie for or as we're going to call it, Batman 66. Then we have Batman 89, Batman Returns, Batman Forever, Batman and Robin, Batman Begins, The Dark Knight, The Dark Knight Rises, and The Batman. All 9 of these films have been put together and ranked from worst to best. Now, with all of this set in mind, I got opinions on all these movies. Will you agree with me on some? Absolutely. Will you agree with me on will you disagree with me on others? Absolutely. Because these are stinky opinions and people can disagree with them. But nevertheless, we are here now. Let me discuss my opinions. Disagree with me all you want, agree with me all you want, be polite about it in the comments, and don't get yourself banned on YouTube, please and thank you. Let's start off with oh, uh, numero nueve. Let me just yeah, Batman and Robin. Let me just move that to the side here. Yeah, so we can get quick and easy access to this. But number 9, the worst movie on this list is Batman and Robin. Uh, was there any doubt that this was going to be last? Like, seriously, was there any doubt that this would be last, like, number 9 of the movies? Like, seriously, we all know why this is there, but let's start. Number 1 still has the problems from Batman Forever. Now, I'll admit Batman Forever is coming a little later on the list, but this movie is a direct sequel and continuation to Batman Forever, which makes no sense, which, of course, had its own problems. And with it having its own problems, you'd think a sequel would try to fix the problems of the first movie, right? Wrong. This movie still has all the problems that Batman Forever had and does not bother to fix them, on top of introducing its own problems, which is no character scenes. Now, this is, of course, a Joel Schumacher film, and those Batman films are always obsessed with action, no matter what. But there is no character scenes for, and I can't stress this enough, especially Robin, who, must I admit, Robin is in the title of the movie. Robin gets no character scenes and is in the title of the movie. Yet Batgirl, who has no expectations as to why she should be here, has more character scenes, but still not deserved. There's hardly any scenes for any character development, which is really, really bad. Why? And this especially blows up for the villains in the face of the villains. Now, I'll admit, we put except for Freeze here because of all the characters. Mr. Freeze is the only one who did get development. But come on, you can even look at this title school. They forget Bane! Bane, who is one of the most prominent Batman villains because he can match his intelligence, is played down to a fiddle here in service of Poison Ivy. What? As you'll see later on in this list, Bane can most certainly hold his own in a movie. Hold his own in a Batman movie as the antagonist. And you'll see that later on with the list with a movie that does it far better than this one does by making Bane an antagonist. Seriously, it has the problems. It has so many problems with its villains, particularly Uma Thurman. Good actor, great job in Kill Bill, I believe. But damn, they give you no character scenes. And it sucks because all you're just is pink dust, I make men horny. The villain. And finally, why the nipples? Why the suits in general? Look, you can even see it right here with the nipples. But why the nipples? My guy, seriously. Why the suits? Why the nipples? Why the jock straps? You can even see it right here. Why do you need them? You don't even have the nipple suits on the girl, you have them on the dude. If you're going to use the nipples for sex appeal, why would you do it on the dudes? And I have to stress with the suits, And I'm going to say something with the studios. According to the behind the scenes, there were a lot of scenes for Alicia Silverstone, who is Batgirl in this movie, that supposedly got cut because she gained weight. And I mean, not a whole lot of weight. If you can look at this, she still looks fine to me. She still looks absolutely fine to me. But apparently the continuity would have been lost, so a lot of her character development scenes were gone. Which, why? Why would you do that? And then, of course, you give the poor girl the title of being Fat Girl, even though, no offense, she looks hot. She looks hot in this picture. Yeah, YouTube, I said it. Deal with it. She looks fine. Didn't need to cut the scenes. I can acknowledge that weight loss, sure, continuity, whatever. But if it makes the movie better, despite the problems, then I would have kept it. Anyways, Batman and Robin, just an utter failure all around. I cannot say a single positive thing about this movie. Aside from, well, if I had to say a positive thing. Yeah, no, I can't think of one. So let's just skip on over to number 8. Another obvious pick that we pretty much all saw coming was Batman Forever. Again, much like the first movie, there's no character moments for especially Robin, which is such a shame. Because, let's admit it, we all forgot that Robin was introduced in this movie, not in the movie called Batman and Robin. You know. So, obviously, that's awful. And supposedly, this is supposed to be the third entry in the Tim Burton universe. You know, the one with Michael Keaton in it. Yeah, this is supposed to be the third entry. Which, why? No, this is its own separate thing, and I'm tired of pretending that it's not. The recasting sucks. I understand why they did it, especially when Michael Keaton read the script and said, "Hey, this sucks," and did not decide to reprise the role as Batman. But still, Val Kilmer, I wouldn't necessarily say that you were bad, but again, you never got a single never got a single scene of character in place of the Batmobile redesign over here and just shooting it up walls and climbing it. What the hey? I mean, come on, guys. Are you serious? The only reason that this stands better than Batman and Robin, and I truly mean the only reason that this is better than Batman and Robin, is Jim Carrey as the Riddler. I'll be honest, Jim Carrey is great at playing Mad Meh, at playing people who are just insane in the membrane. I mean, look at The Mask, which is an actually good movie. Jim Carrey carries this movie on his back. I will probably state again, Arnold Schwarzenegger carried it as Mr. Freeze, but again, Arnold Schwarzenegger just doesn't fit the role. Just doesn't do it for me like Jim Carrey as the Riddler. At least Jim Carrey was actively, like, really trying to carry this movie on his back. And he does do it. Carry this film on its back. Albeit he doesn't carry it far because it's still number 8, but it does carry it over from Batman and Robin. But let's move. Oh, well, yeah. Let's move on to number 7, the first really good movie on this list, and that is Batman 66. Listen, this movie has a false title. It's not Batman. It should be called Meme Man. I mean, for good lord, some days you can't just get rid of a bomb and hand me the damn shark repellent, Robin! This movie is good at being a comedy, and for the 60s Batman, which is the silver age of comics when they had to be more goofy and kid-friendly, it does a good job of being that part of Batman. But that's just the thing. It's 60s Batman. When people think of Batman movies, they don't immediately think of goofy, silly, shark repellent, and some days you can't get rid of a bomb type thing. They more often think of something like Michael Keaton's Batman, Robert Pattinson, Christian Bale, Ben Affleck. He doesn't get a movie because he didn't get his own standalone Batman movie. Like, people think of that. They don't think of this. And that's just the reason why it's here. Don't get me wrong. This movie is absolutely good at what it tries to do. For being this is the definition of the Silver Age and more comedic moments. Like, heck, you can even see how fake this shark is here. But that's just the thing. This is not what people think of when they think of Batman as a movie. This is what people think of when they think of Adam West Batman. It's still a good movie all around, but it's not anyone's idea of Batman, and that's why it has to be down here as the lowest of the truly good films. Sorry, Batman 66. You had to be put next to the disgrace that is Forever and Robin. But don't worry, we're going to get even better than that, folks, with number 6, Batman 89. For let's just say this right now. I don't care what anyone says, this movie has the best design for the Joker in the Batmobile. I mean, just look at that Batmobile right there. That is luscious. I want to drive that thing. If you think of the Batmobile, I guarantee you 9 out of 10 Batman fans think of this. And additionally, yeah, I know Nicholson. Jack Nicholson is Joker. Absolutely perfect casting. I understand that he is upstaged in terms of Joker by one far later on the list. I perfectly acknowledge that, and we're getting to that later on the list. But trust me, he's a damn good Joker, and I personally think that his design is overall better than Heath Ledger's. Although that could personally just be I like the more seamless bleak all white face, and just him being goofier in general. Yes, I'll admit this movie can be a little bit janky at parts, but still, it's not enough to make it a bad movie. And let's be honest, when we think of this movie, there are two scenes we all think of. Bruce Wayne's "Let's Get Nuts" as he's confronting the Joker as Bruce Wayne. That's a legitimately tense scene, even though he's trying to get a love interest, and I don't like Batman getting a love interest. This one makes it work because it's early on. And Jack Nicholson's most iconic and threatening scene is the Joker. All I want is my face on the $1 bill. And I'm going to also say this right now. Michael Keaton is the best actor for Bruce Wayne. I will not say... I'm tempted to say he's the best Batman, but there is one Batman that comes up later on down the list that I will say is the best. But in terms of being a Bruce Wayne, I gotta give the honor to Michael Keaton. Maybe not the curly hair, but I still think of this guy when I think of Bruce Wayne. And Batman 89, a very, very solid live-action superhero movie. I know that most people give the honor to Spider-Man for Spider-Man 2002, the Sam Raimi trilogy, the first Sam Raimi movie for opening the floodgates for superhero movies. But to be perfectly honest, you can't ignore Batman 89 when you're talking about opening the floodgates. Sure, it might be a little while, come on, don't ignore this movie when it comes to that. Albeit it did get ruined and closed up again by Batman Forever and Batman and Robin, but this right here was the first truly great superhero movie. But it's time and the sun is over, and we still got 5 movies that are better. And speaking of which, number 5 is The Dark Knight Rises. Now, hold on before you get your fire and pitchforks at me. I know exactly what you think, and and most people would probably have this as the number 1 best Batman movie, so why do I have it so low at number 5? And it's all for one simple reason. Talia al Ghul! You can tell it's Talia because I have an angry emoticon, which, for everybody under the age of 20, an emoticon is what we did before emojis, when we took graphical symbols on computers and made them look like a face. But anyways, Talia al Ghul single-handedly ruined this movie and put it down to number 5. I'll be perfectly honest, The Dark Knight Rises is a fantastic movie, and without Talia al Ghul, would have been up at number 1. But let's start off with what made it so good to understand why Talia ruined it. And to be perfectly honest, it's because of one thing. Bane. Bane is single-handedly one of the best villains in all of Batman in all the movies. And if it wasn't for Talia, I would call him the best in terms of movies. This Batman has a low point like no other. Physically broken, thrown into prison on the other side of the world, and is forced to watch what happens to Gotham. Like, wow. And on top of that, the continuity from The Dark Knight, easily makes this even better, as now all these characters are still suffering the consequences of what happened in The Dark Knight and its ending. I mean, it's been 8 years since this Batman has last been seen in this world. So now she's going to be rusty and going out and fighting Bane immediately, getting broken like that. Oof, so nice. Nice. And such like legitimate suspense for like, is Batman going to survive this? The football scene, again, Bane single-handed. I wouldn't say that Bane single-handedly carried this movie, but Bane is easily the strongest part of this movie, which makes it all the worse with Talia al Ghul over here basically saying, "Oh yeah, no, I was Uma Thurman. I was like Uma Thurman back in Batman and Robin. I'm the master plan. Bane's just a pawn." What? Why does Bane need to be a pawn? Bane, the best Batman villain in this movie, like one of the best Batman villains, ruined by you because he made him a pawn and removed so much of the cool factor and intimidation in the last 5 minutes. So you never get your own moments to shine. You're an undeserved plot twist that just needs to be buried. Ugh. I know that this has a lot of complaining, but trust me, this movie earned its number. This movie would have been so much higher without Talia, because everything else about this movie, and I truly mean everything else about this movie, is utterly fantastic and would absolutely carry this to number one if it just wasn't for Talia al Ghul. No offense. I'm sorry, but you're just not deserved. You're easily the worst Batman villain. In movies. In comics, you're actually fine. Let's move on to number 4. The Batman. I'm going to say this right now. What were they doing with the designs in this movie? Batman's suit has just like too much forehead on the cowl. I mean, you can especially see it in the title picture. At least here you can see it, but it like goes and like, what are they doing here? And the Batmobile. This is easily the worst Batmobile ever. At least back in Batman 66, they had the excuse of it being the 60s and that Batmobile car being cooler and from the show. But aside from that, Robert Pattinson as Batman, I can kind of dig it. I don't dig his performance as Bruce Wayne. Like, when he has the cowl off, I'm sorry, he just looks too much like a Twilight vampire. And I guess that makes sense since Robert Pattinson is, in fact, a Twilight vampire. But, come on. No, this Batman needs the cowl to work. However, the Riddler, though, this is easily the most intimidating that the Riddler has ever been, and definitely works with what I like to consider peak Riddler, which is when Batman is playing along with Riddler's games, he loses. So Batman has to figure out how to cheat. And even though he doesn't do. I wouldn't necessarily say that Batman cheats in this movie, but I certainly do think that this Riddler is like so intimidating of a threat. A lot like unlike any Riddler you've ever seen before. And I got to give props where it's due. And especially the mystery that this movie sets up. Like, wow. Wow. They did a really good I got to say, they did a really really good job with this movie. I love the mystery of what is going to happen, all the twists and turns it takes with the Penguin and the Riddler, and how Batman and Catwoman eventually have to team up to find it. It's a good job, but it's not perfect and not without its faults. 3 hours, I was captivated, but I also at some point just wanted to see it end. And again, Robert Pattinson as Batman only really works with the cowl on. It doesn't work with the cowl off, and especially if he doesn't rub off the eye mascara. But anyways, The Batman was a lot better than I thought it would be, but it's still, despite I was initially going to call this one the underdog run of the list, but there's a movie later on that I think is the actual true underdog. But let's move on to the podium placements. That's right, in the top three here, with number 3 being Batman Begins. Let me just say this right now. This movie has the perfect casting for literally everyone. Christian Bale is an amazing Batman and has been it is my personal favorite of live action. When it comes to overall, I think I might have to give it to animated Kevin Conroy, but live action Christian Bale definitely takes it. But I have to give special shout outs to to Jim Gordon and Ra's al Ghul. These two are perfect and immediately what I think of. Now, I'll be perfectly honest, I don't remember who played Jim Gordon. Gordon, I should be ashamed of that. But Liam Neeson as Ra's al Ghul is perfect. I don't even care about the Irish accent, about the slight Irish accent on Ra's al Ghul. It works because honestly, Liam Neeson is just an intimidating dude. But anyways, Batman Begins. Let's get into this. This is the best origin of Batman ever. And it has large part to do with it delves deeper than just his parents getting murdered. It has Bruce almost breaking his own moral code by shooting the guy after the trial only for someone else to do it for him, and his training with the League of Assassins. All of this just to flesh out Batman's character, and it truly works in this movie's favor. And of course, we have to get into Ra's versus Bruce. This, my friends, Ra's versus Bruce is a personal challenge of ideals. Both trying to better the rule, but Ra's thinking that you just need to get rid of Gotham, and Ra's plan involving Scarecrow. Truly phenomenal. Not want to work right here. And the challenge of Batman's code, with ultimately in the end, Batman saying, I'm not going to kill you, but I also don't have to save you. Essentially almost giving in. Brilliant stuff. Brilliant stuff right here. I wish I could say the same thing about The Dark Knight Rises, and heck, for a while I did. But again, I just hate Talia in that movie. I need to stop talking about Talia. Blah. This is Batman Begins, not The Dark Knight Rises. Batman Begins, great movie overall. Again, cannot give emphasis enough on the casting of Jim Gordon and Ra's al Ghul. Christian Bale getting his chance to sign later on with a movie that's going to come after this. But still, if you wanted to tell a Batman origin story, this is the movie to go to tell it best. And I refuse to hear any differently. And I don't think anyone's going to argue that with me in the comments. But anyways, moving on. Number 2, the true underdog of this list, the placement that no one sees coming, is Batman Returns. Let's be honest here. Holy crap, y'all are sleeping on this movie. Batman Returns for a while was looking like the number 1 movie on the retrospect. Was looking like the number 1 movie. Don't sleep on this movie. Michelle Pfeiffer as Catwoman and Danny DeVito as Penguin were really, really good. And I have to give special attention to Danny DeVito as Penguin. Penguin, dude. These are perfect casts all around. And this especially gets even better with the character moments being just top tier. With the Penguin, you never really know. Penguin seeming like this at first seemingly innocent man thrown into poor circumstances to just slowly insane and sadistic from the start, to Michelle Pfeiffer's Catwoman just becoming someone who's trying to make an honest living to just eventually broken by society's rules, and just they both don the villain personas, which was really saddening, especially because you know that these are good people before they turn their costumes on. And it's almost like a hollow victory for Michael Keaton. Like, you want to see him win, but at the same time, do you really? Especially in the case of Catwoman. Like, she's kind of in the right for taking out the boss. Maybe not. Maybe you're more cheerful about Danny DeVito's loss, especially because what he tries to do to the children. But still, hollow victories. And I gotta say, despite this movie being in the 90s, damn, does it have some good action scenes. I mean, this picture's probably not the best example of it, but damn, it has some fine action scenes. They may at some points look corny and cheesy as hell, but come on, these action scenes are too good to ignore, especially for it being a 90s movie, and is an all-time classic. Don't sleep on Batman Returns. It is great. Far better than you can possibly imagine. I might have it too high, but hey, this is the underdog run of the century. I know I'm saying this in a video that's probably not even going to get a single view on YouTube, or maybe under 100. I don't know. But still, never sleep on Batman Returns. This is utterly phenomenal. Go give it a watch if you haven't recently. Who knows? Maybe your opinions will change. But finally, this leaves us with number one, the obvious candidate that we all pretty much saw coming, The Dark Knight. Oh boy, where do we begin? Well, I guess I'll begin with how I have the bullet points. Heath Ledger as Joker. Holy crap, is this a villain that can challenge Batman and makes for some very interesting behind the scenes talk. I mean, seriously, so many of the reactions to Heath Ledger's Joker was real. Like, hell, even the iconic clapping scene when Jim Gordon gets promoted to commissioner, that was not supposed to happen in the script. Heath Ledger just went insane and did it, and damn, did it make for one hell of an intimidating scene. The final action scene with the two boats and Joker threatening to try and make each other kill each other. Ugh, it's so great. And Two-Face's downward spiral. Holy crap. I mean, look, you can even see it in this picture. This guy, yeah, this guy looks like the guy who has his life together. He has a plan, he has a wife, and he's ready to go take over the city. And then there's this guy who just looks done with anything and everything and is ready to end it. And his downward spiral, just, man, you really feel bad for the guy. Especially considering that by the end, Batman might win the day, but in all honesty, he lost the war. I mean, just look at what happened to Harvey Dent. He lost that war. And he turns everybody against himself just so the people's faith can be renewed. And what makes it even better is that this ending comes back to bite all these characters in the butt in The Dark Knight Rises, which just makes this so much better because you know how much they pay for it in the future. Oh, so good. And it really makes me happy to be a Batman fan. And I gotta say it, this is my all-time favorite Batman movie. Now, of course, we're only talking in live-action Batman movies. If we're talking in animated movies, the list would certainly change, and I probably didn't include all the Batman movies. But in terms of what I included, which I think is like the definitive live-action 9, I hope y'all can agree with me. Y'all can agree with me in my list in some ways, maybe disagree in others. I don't care. We all have opinions. Feel free to share them because this is the internet after all. Just remember, The Dark Knight is great. The Dark Knight Rises could have been so good if it just didn't have Talia al Ghul, who provides nothing to the plot and is instantly shooting it down to number 5, and I'm considering shooting it down to number 6 because of how bad Talia al Ghul is. But I'm not going to do that. The list is already set in stone, and I just finished recording the video. Anyways, I'm running out of things to say other than, this movie is so good, and everything that Heath Ledger's Joker does is great, and Two-Face's downward spiral is so poetic, and then Rachel Dawes' death. But, it's all stuff that I've most likely said before, aside from Rachel Dawes' death, just adding on to Two-Face's downward spiral. But anyway, I got nothing more that I can add without just making this go on longer and filler. So I'm going to end this off here. I will bid you all a good West Positioning lesson, everybody. My name's Blue Fang, and take her easy. And just remember, you're not Batman!